Hello.
Hello. How are you this morning?
Hi.
This afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon is like 4 o'clock here. I'm okay. I'm cold. I'm hoping that my child has received my message to please turn the heating up.
It's also cold here. I like it. I want to go back to fall, not pre-winter, which is where we are now.
My son keeps saying, "Is it winter yet? Is it winter?" And I'm like, technically, no.
But it feels like winter, so there's that.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
snow in the forecast for next week.
Why?
Snow, and I don't like it. I don't want it. I'm not ready for it.
Although bonfire night last night was considerably warmer than it normally is, so.
Oh, that's good.
But my room, my little office room here, seems to be the coldest place in my house.
Mine is too. I have a stand heater. Otherwise, I would probably freeze to death here.
Hi everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Hi Z.
Are these here today?
Hi. Yeah. And hi Gabby. Thanks for joining us. Hi Meaghan, obviously. Hi Easy Graphics. Hi Jocelyn, who did not quite manage to be the first here this morning.
I almost forgot about this because it has been the craziest week ever this week for me. And I haven't written a single word since last Sunday. I'm very much looking forward to getting some writing in today.
Yay!
A nice change of pace for me after this week that I've had. So.
Cool.
What about you? What are you working on?
I'm probably doing some writing.
Anybody doing Nano?
We did have a few people last week who said they were doing it, but I can't remember who they were. Anyone in the chat want to tell us you're nanoing?
I sort of was going to, for a minimum, for at least the word count portion of it. That doesn't seem to be going so well for me so far. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I tell you what, I reckon the way you write, you could probably still hit 50k without too much struggle.
Yeah.
Assuming that things at work have now lightened up.
Things, knock on wood, things seem okay now at work, which is good. It was the front half of my week was ridiculous. The last half was just me mentally recovering from the first half of the week. So I think work is fine. I did write like over 55,000 words in October. And I took vacation, but I used most of that like week of vacation to brainstorm. So I think it's possible. So I wrote most of it on the weekends anyway.
Yeah. Hey Kate, thanks for joining us.
Hi Kate.
That does not look like there's many nanos among us. Gabby's doing it.
Who is she? I only know one other person who's doing it, and she's like, "Let's be buddies," and I was like, "Okay." Failed that miserably so far, being her buddy. So actually, should probably reach out to her and let her know that I'm alive. I just remembered that I agreed to do that. I'll have to reach out to her and apologize for her that I'm still alive.
I'm sure it'll be fine. So, what's anyone else working on today? I know Z's hoping to get some words in.
When do you leave for Vegas? Z? Is it tomorrow or Monday?
I think she's driving up to Mary. I'm sure she'll answer for herself in a second.
Our clocks change tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be back to our normal time difference from you.
Yes.
Unless you live
Which
somewhere
is
weird.
handy.
Time doesn't change.
Bye, Easy. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's handy because my husband's out shooting again tomorrow, so there's much more chance of me being able to join you an hour later. Still might not happen, but...
Oh, for group at noon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see there.
Wow. Shall we start our first sprint?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's write, everybody. I will attempt to sort out the videos. It might take slightly longer than Z's well practiced.
We sort of know what we're doing here.
Yeah, so good. And yeah, we'll see you all in 20 minutes. Good luck. How did you do?
I got 186, and I essentially just cleaned up what I had sort of left in the middle of the scene on Sunday. So I cleaned up what was there, and now I have to keep going. But I don't know what my hero says in this big speech, so figuring that out.
Yeah, you'll do it. Z, I'm curious to know who won.
Yeah. Who wins? You or your mom? So why are you arguing about that?
Morning, Star. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're feeling more awake now.
Hello, hello.
Oh, Z won.
How was that? How did everybody else do?
Oh yeah. How'd everyone else do? I wrote like 3 words, so clearly I'm doing great.
I don't think readers will go back to book 2 to figure out the ages of their reading before.
Yeah, they will.
Some people will. I probably would. I am that annoying reader who, like, you know, some people can just like suspend reality and they don't care and whatever. I am not that person. I like, even if it doesn't make it onto the page, I like to know the intimate details of how something works or how something would go, so that when I write about it, it makes sense. It can be irritating because then you spend a lot of time researching things that never actually make it into the book, but kind of need to exist in your subconscious so that you understand how it works.
3 hours for a 2-word little appearance in a sentence. Yep.
Yeah. Or just like a reference. I wrote one manuscript once, 259, very good, Kathy. I wrote one manuscript once where one of the guys was a rock star, and I have a friend who's like a award-winning songwriter, so she's recorded in Nashville and stuff like that. And I had her read a bunch of scenes where he's like in a recording studio and all this kind of stuff, just so it would sound believable. And like the average person is not going to know whether that's true or not, but I would know. And then on the option, she was like, if I read a book like that and it was wrong, it would bother me because that's my industry. And I was like, see, it just takes a little bit of extra effort, but everybody ends up happy. Apparently, he was recording too many songs in one day. She's like, there's no way he'd be able to record that many songs in one day. His voice would be too tired. Now I know.
Now you do.
Now I heard write another rock star romance, so I'll have more information. 484, geez, people, in 20 minutes, I'm really impressed.
Awesome. Well done, everyone.
What about Kate? Isn't Kate here? She's a pretty fast writer. Oh, never mind. She finished her work in progress this morning. Good job, Kate. That's exciting. So speedy. Oh, you never said their ages in book 2, so it's merely an impression. Oh, yeah. So does it matter if people go back to book 2 if they don't know how old people are? Unless there's an assumption that they're like 28, and then in book 4 they're like 37. That might be weird.
Yeah.
That was my section I wrote yesterday. 40 words written so far. Yeah. Is that like 40 new words, Jocelyn, or like a net of 40 new words?
Tricky.
Or you've only been through 40 words of whatever you're rewriting. Yes, exactly. Nurse friend. I had another character in a different. These are all contemporary manuscripts that will probably get published. Who's also a nurse, and I had lived heavily as a nurse next to him too. And I had another friend in tech who helped me with book 2 of this current series, asking a bunch of really random questions about how do you hack things. He was like, I only know this because I try to prevent things from being hacked. And I was like, noted. You're not a hacker, you're preventing hacking. But it's one of those things where you have to know how the hacker thinks, right? In order to.
Yeah. See, whereas I'm writing paranormal and I just do not know enough vampires.
It's a thing. I'm telling you.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't look out like that. You said you got 3 words. What do you mean?
So what's right?
You said you only got 3 words. What are you working
Oh, I'm kind of reading through because I need to look for places where I can talk about their relationship a little bit more or show their relationship a little bit more. So I'm just ending up reading through the whole thing again because why not?
Have you written the ending yet? Have you written the ending yet?
I have not written the ending yet. The thing is, I think without these bits, any ending's just going to feel weird to me. So I think I need to kind of just work through it until the ending just comes.
Did you decide if you're going romance or women's paranormal fiction?
No, but I'm trying to increase it because the thing is, the ending that I have kind of depends on them being at a certain point in their relationship, which they're really not at how I've written it so far. So I think that's why I'm struggling so much with it because it's not there throughout the book yet.
Yeah. So then, yeah, maybe going back and adding in where their relationship is missing would help.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you with this, Bea. The older sister is 25 when we first meet them. Middle sister is 23. Youngest sister is 21. He's 21 also when we first meet them all. So who's he paired up with?
Hang on, middle sister.
Trying to find out if the younger sister is Oh. Yeah. So yeah, she'd be older than him. Makes sense.
Kitty cat.
I was wondering when he was going to show.
Oh, 40 new words. Good job, Jocelyn. Yes. Friends in all the careers. Such a good.
I'm sorry you don't have any vampires.
I haven't got any werewolf friends either. I mean, rude people.
You have witch friends, so at least you have those bases covered.
Yeah.
What's not a bad thing. That he's a little younger than she is? I don't think so.
No.
My brain, does anybody else do this thing where you're like actively working on one book and your brain is thinking about like the other 1 to 30 books that are happening next? My brain was currently. That's why I knew I was ready to write again because my brain was like, who's the next couple? What about the couple after that? So I'm already thinking about the couple like 2 or 3 books from now. So that feels like a good
That's
time.
awesome.
Does anybody else do it?
Yes. I know my couple for book 2 and book 4. Book 3 I'm a little bored. I think I got some basics for book 3.
I knew who my main, I knew who that we currently know already was going to be in my couple pairings. I do have one lesbian couple coming up that I'm very excited about. Their stories are so good. I'm trying to decide if an age gap of 8 to 10 years is too much when the heroine is 23. Let's say the correct about that. I can't decide. Because she's not an overly mature 23. If that makes sense. For a lot of trauma.
I don't know.
I don't know either, so I'm trying to decide.
It's like it wouldn't bother me. I mean, most of the books I read are like Regency romances, and the hero's 10 to 15 years older than the heroine. So
I do have one couple where there's a 15-year age gap, but she's 35 and he's 50. So that's, to me, that's nothing when you're 30 something and he's 10 years older than you. But your brain's not fully developed at 23, so it's it weird? Is it not weird? It's fine. Especially if she's not an overly mature person, because she's been through a lot of trauma, so she's very like emotionally mature in many ways. So figure it out, I guess. She's
The thing is,
there's
at the
3
end of
books
a
from now, so
romance, at the end of a romance, you generally have a happy ever after. They get married, but if you really think about it, I mean, not all. What was it, like 50% of marriages end in divorce? So, I mean,
that's true. Does anyone think about that when your characters like randomly propose after? I think about it when you have those like insta love stories and they're both engaged. They're engaged by the end of the thing after only knowing each other for a month. You're like,
yep.
do you guys actually make it to the altar? Or how long are you actually married before you get to the altar?
Yeah.
Although book 2, there's no proposal at the end of book 2. For me, I always need a proposal. I'm kind of happy for now. They're just worked out their issues, or in my case, they're both still alive.
That's a bonus.
Always a bonus. The only people I can't kill off. Everyone else completely fair game. Never done. Kate, I'm very sorry. She's gonna be mad at me for so long. Sometimes you just have to sacrifice someone. That's how it works.
And yes, lots and lots of people.
Oh, thank God.
Wait, planning the next book.
Yay. But this is the thing. That's good. I would Google here. I always wonder if it's like I use it as a way to productively procrastinate.
Do you know, I think that I think the more you know about how you want it to go, like every now and again you read a book and you go through the series and like 3 or 4 books in you go, wow, they really weren't planning on that going there in book 1, because there's stuff that's changed. And they're like, yes, and I did know that in book 1, but you weren't ready to hear it then, so I couldn't tell you about it. And you're like, no, you didn't, you're making that up.
You gotta be creative, right? Oh, yeah. That's funny. I write romantic suspense, right? That's another thing I'm trying to figure out is in these, every time I think about these books, I think about them in sets of 3. And so they're true standalones. You could read book 2 and not read book 1 and still pretty much know what's going on and what's happened. But they do also, there are storylines that are threaded through each one that lead into each. But they are also separated into trilogies. So it's kind of an interesting mix. I'm not sure what that's going to do about read through, because you see the same cast of characters through all of them. So like if you wanted to learn more about the other cast of characters, you'd have to read earlier books. But you do also kind of accidentally, in my head, the way I keep thinking about the stories, encapsulate themselves into these tiny little trilogies as well.
I think you'll probably have plenty of read through. And the great thing about standalone is that someone can start anywhere in the series and then go back and start from the beginning and it will be fine. Like I won't read for a proper series book, I won't read from part way through. I'll try and find the first book. But I mean, like Pippa Grant's written loads of books that link in together, but they're all standalone, but they use the same kind of cast of recurring characters. So you can start reading any of them and then but you want to know more about the other characters and you're like, oh, does that character has a book, that couple has a book, let's go read their book, and all of a sudden you've read 20 books and you're like, where did my weekend go?
I have never read a book, maybe on accident, read a book that I didn't realize was in the middle of a series. If I pick up a book and I see that it says like book 3 of whatever series, I will put it back down and I will go find book 1 and read that first. every single time. There's probably been a handful of times where you just like borrow it from the library or from the club, or you get it for free somewhere without realizing that it's like number 3. And then you feel hoodwinked because they're talking about characters. They're like summarizing other characters for you in the beginning, right? And you're like, wait a second, where are those books? Why am I not reading those? Oh, your brain can't handle it. It's a weird thing. And you have other people who do that for fun. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, strange.
Not me.
Should we jump into our next sprint? Let's get some more writing done.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what happens with this speech. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, see you in 20, everybody.
Good luck, everyone.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah.
Sorry, just looking back at the messages. See, the second chance romances clearly demonstrate that not everyone stays together, so.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You know, they've left, one of them has left the other one once. It could happen again. You never know. Do you think a romance could exist that was set 10 years after it fell in love?
I don't think there are any out there. Those tend to be done under like women's fiction or things like that rather than romance.
I have an idea for another series where the couple is married and falling back in love with each other. But yeah, their breakup is due to infertility. That's why their marriage is struggling. I mean, like where they're married and they're falling back in love with each other. What are you talking about?
Who was that? Morris.
Yeah, I have a friend who has infertility, and she was like, I rarely, if ever, see myself reflected in couples in books, because if someone has infertility, then they usually end up adopting or magically getting pregnant or something like that happens in I don't want to spoil the ending of that, but that happens in a popular book that's now been turned into a TV show. And so it's very annoying. And so she and her husband, when they realized that their only options were probably adoption, and her husband wasn't that keen on adoption or fostering, they made the choice to just be a family of two and not pursue having children or adopting children or surrogacy or anything like that. And she's like, I feel like choosing not to have kids is also a very valid outcome of having infertility. And she's like, that's rarely reflected, because sort of the ideal is always that you end up with kids. And she's like, we're very happy with our, after some grieving, of course, but they did want to be parents. She's like, we're very happy with our choice and all the things we get to do now with our lives that would have been different with kids, not worse or better, but different. So I want to write the book for her because it was a thing. Her first marriage did ultimately end, although it did not because of infertility. But yeah, it is something I want to write for her, because I want her to see her reflected in a romance story rather than like a women's fiction where the romance is the point. So I want to write that for her one day.
That's nice.
I
mean, I've not I'm not in groups about it or anything, so I don't see a huge amount about it. But the few times that it's come up with people, I very rarely see anyone. I very rarely see anyone with that point of view. The most people I see are people who are still grieving years later that they cannot and will never be able to have.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and I know that's very common, and there's something wrong with that grief process, right? If you wanted to be a parent so badly and you can't, you might grieve about that forever. I know she still has moments where it hits her, right? I don't think it's anything that ever really goes away.
No.
But that was just the choice that was right for them that they took. It's also why, for me, I like to write romances where sometimes the couples are just committed and together but never get married, or maybe they get married and choose not to have kids. I feel like the most common reason for a couple not to have children is because one or both of them can't have kids. And I don't want children, so it's like I'm going to be writing a couple that just doesn't want kids. Like, they want to be in a relationship with each other. They love each other. They're going to have a happy ever after. But no children ever as a choice, and not as like an unfortunate circumstance of infertility. So
Yeah.
married, committed, no infidelities, and they've just like grown apart, and you want them to fall back in love with each other. Is that what you're saying, Morningstar?
See, he's testing out Scrivener with beats.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Did you use a Beats template that came with Scrivener, or that someone had made for Scrivener already? See?
Scrivener is just like it's like a writing program, right? It doesn't format or anything.
Yeah, but people, I've seen people before that have done like pre-done outlines for Scrivener, so that you can load up that outline and fill in all the bits of your own.
Oh, right. Doesn't Atticus, the new Atticus program, have that feature? It's got like Scrivener features like that?
I do not know.
I feel like the sales page that I read mentioned something about it has combined functionality, like some things that you can do in Vellum and some things you can do in Scrivener. And then also they don't currently partner with, what's the other one that people use for words? What's the one that people use for like typos and for proofreading? What's that one called?
Pro Writing Aid.
Yes, that they were going to be doing something where you could like sync up with Pro Writing Aid or something if you own it, and have it run through, like, so you can do everything all in that one program.
Yeah.
Atticus also has like a 30-day money back guarantee, so you have the extra, what is it, 150 US. How did everybody do work-wise? Did we ask that question?
Oh,
I don't think we did. Oopsie daisy. This is what happens when Z's not here. It's like a Wild West out here. I got almost exactly 500. 499 words.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Actually,
you get your speech?
Math. 399 words because math is hard. That's fine.
That's so awesome. Did you get the speech?
I did. Ugh, he's so manipulative. What a jerk. He has such a big redemption arc in this book. But he is such a jerk in the first like half of it or so.
That's awesome. I hear they're very satisfying books.
Me too. I don't think I've ever read anyone this like deliberately manipulative. So it's I keep comparing it to those like high school romances where they're like giving one of the girls a makeover, and then the guy accidentally falls in her. That's what I keep comparing it to. Like 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah. Hey, well done, Gwen. C.
He loves to take courses, and I love it because she shares what she learns from him. So we all benefit. She took Romancing the Beats and put her take on it. I've discovered that I think that's the best way. If you're somebody who reads books and like you feel like you have to do it exactly the way the author of that book does it, you should just remember that your process is your process, and you can do it however you want.
Yes.
So I discovered that 2.5 books, or two and the third books in, that I have like a specific way that I use they use thriller beats, basically like suspense beats to help me plot incrementally as I go, and I've kind of customized them for myself. I couldn't find any pure romantic suspense beats out there that combined the two. So I took some thriller beats that made sense to me. I've noticed that I sort of have molded them to be my own beats, but combine the two, but also fit my writing style. Really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. You've done so good with your writing this year.
I've been very productive considering also working full time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine I'd write 2 books in a year. It used to take me 5 years just to write a single one.
And like, I reckon by the end of the year you're going to have finished 3.
I think that's kind of the goal, is to finish this 3rd one, and then I think just because finances wise, I probably won't be able to publish book 1 until February, maybe March at the latest, which is a bummer, but I was hoping for January, but that's not going to happen. So probably February or March, which means I should be able to literally publish all 3 of them next year, and then still have the next few in the pipeline ready to go. So kind of ahead of where I assumed I would be, which is nice, really nice.
Yeah. I love your cat. He's just like...
This is Oliver. He's pretty sure he's the center of attention everywhere all the time. He wants to be here on top of me. He's not allowed, so he's over here outing.
I miss my black cat. He left us because my toddler. So he moved to a house like
Didn't he run
across
away?
the street.
He was just like, peace out.
Yeah.
He's not, so I don't have kids, as I said, and I had a friend come over with her daughter who's like 9 at the time. He was so perplexed about this small human being in space and wanting to like touch him and love him and pick him up. And he's a very chill cat, so he wasn't mean about it, but also he was like, he just kept looking at me like this, like, what is that? And why is it touching me? And why is its voice so soft? It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He was like, I don't know how I feel about the kid thing. So, no thanks.
Yeah. People are like, just teach your kid to respect your animals. And I'm like, you haven't met my kid. Like, I've tried over and over again, repeatedly, regularly, constantly, one might say. And my cat is like, it taught my son, my eldest, to respect it with claws and scratching. And don't get me wrong, my eldest went back a few times just to check. No, he was still going to get his ass kicked. But the youngest, didn't matter how many times Sooty explained personal space to him with claws, the youngest's like, nope, not having it. We're still going to sit on the cat.
Oh, Charlie's no fear. He's just like, whatever.
This is all my space. This is all my stuff. I sit where I want.
This is like true youngest kid fashion over here, where he's just like, I do what I want. I don't care.
Yeah.
The cat will either deal with it or run away to a neighbor to stay safe. Which is apparently what happened. So, you know.
Yeah. But I miss him.
Yeah. I would miss him.
And it's not like I can send the toddler to the neighbours instead and bring the cat back. People frown on that.
I think that's illegal, technically.
And also, the neighbour is the local cat lady, not the local toddler lady. So you know, I don't think she'd appreciate that swap.
She'd rather have the cat. Bummer.
Yeah.
He was back in school last week, though, right?
Yeah, he was. Much happier that last week. Yeah.
Less happy though, because we have to get up early, but at least your routines.
Yes, it means I've got more time to work and stuff, so it's good.
Do you get a nice long break for like the winter holidays?
No, we get 2 weeks. 2 weeks Christmas, 2 weeks Easter, 6 weeks summer.
That's about what we
Which
get.
is, yeah, it's good because I don't know how I'd manage if I had to go more than 2 weeks without him at nursery. I don't know what we're gonna do next summer. I'm gonna just,
Oh, for the 6 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, no idea how I'm gonna get on my work. I might have to cut my hours down over the summer or something.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You guys have mother's helpers? Is that a thing? Okay.
Some places there doesn't seem to be much around here.
Just bring in like a high schooler. You call them secondary school.
I don't really know any kids the right age, so
Or you can go onto like websites and stuff for mother's helpers. Just find kids in your area, not necessarily in your neighborhood. You pay them like $5. You know, $5 an hour. Just to be in the same house with you. You're there. You're not leaving them alone. Just to make sure that your kids don't like turn on the stove and burn something down.
yeah. I
I
don't think so. I don't think we have that around here anyway.
I have a friend who does that with her toddler. She works from home too, so she'll be able to just like be in the same house if there's a real true emergency. But otherwise,
Yeah.
she's paying someone to play with her kids in their house.
Yeah.
Which allows her to get work done with the kids all the time. So she brings someone like that in every summer for several weeks.
Yeah.
But,
Handy. Well, as we're running a little late today, sorry people. Shall we get on with our last? We do have another sprint, right? Yes. Let's get on with our last sprint. And yeah.
Yeah, see, Gwen knows. Mother's helper.
Yeah.
Keep kids from setting things on fire. Oh, Mom.
I have to look into it, see what I can find.
Yeah. Usually just someone local, someone old enough that you trust to leave the kids alone with, even though you're in the other part of the house.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
the one who gets snacks and keeps them from killing each other.
Yeah. That would work if I could find someone. That'd be great.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. Hopefully your searches.
Thanks. Thanks.
One more 20?
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. See you in 20.
Not everybody do.
Well done, Gwen.
Good job. All words are good words, I've decided. I got 235 because I just stop and think for a second. I'm dealing with a pregnancy in this book. Having to do like pregnancy math, which is far more complicated than I realized it was going to be. I keep asking a friend of mine who's had 3 children, because obviously I have no experience with pregnancy. I keep asking her a million questions, like, does this make sense? Is this something that would happen? She's finding it very enjoyable, actually. She's like, I hope I get mentioned somewhere in the book. Like, don't worry, I'll dedicate the whole thing to you.
Well done, Z.
276, very nice. Editing. I don't even try to count words when I edit. It's just too difficult. I guess the only thing you'd really get, unless you were editing in a different document, is net, right? Net new versus actual.
Sorry, my eldest son has just apparently seen my message from 2 hours ago asking him to please turn the heating on.
Kate's figured out her Enneagrams for her characters for her new work. Kate, you already have an idea. Kate is already like halfway to finish what she's doing for her next work in progress. Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah, Better Days joined us. Hey, Better Days.
Kate, do you just go through like the Enneagram quiz and answer it like you think your characters would answer the questions? Is that what you do? Figure it out?
Or do you just like take the thing and go there?
Right,
What
or
does
you
that
just
mean
like
they're
read
like?
the description. Editing is a weird beast. I don't dislike it though. It does. I wasn't really sure I believed people when they said it engaged a different part of your brain, but I believe them now. It really does. It really does engage an entirely different part of your brain because, because you're working with something that already exists, right? So
yeah.
More confines. Although editing is for me was much faster than actually writing. Even though I rewrote a ton of scenes when I edited, it took me like 6 weeks. That was pretty good considering the book itself took me twice that long.
Yeah, but you already, by the time you're editing, you already have a really good idea of everything in your plot. That's why I reckon plotters, like, they do a really small first draft or a really detailed plot, and then they're basically editing that out to the big novel level.
Kate's a plotter. Kate, how does that work for you? You plot the whole book start to finish, don't you? Okay, read the descriptions and figure out which one it is. That makes sense. Probably I don't plot. I plot beat to beat, and that's it. I have like 8 major beats that I work from, and I just plot between each one. Once I get there, I plot to the next round. The next beat, I mean. Oh, editing is painful for you. I'm very sorry, Morning. I did not anticipate enjoying the editing process as much as I did. That was very interesting for me because I was like, oh, I'm probably going to hate this because I'm going to feel bad that it wasn't perfect the first time. That's my whole and existential crisis in my brain is that it has to be perfect the first time. Obviously. And I thought that I would read through it and be like, oh, this is garbage. And it was just an instant way to be like, oh, I can make this spot better and this spot better and this spot makes more sense. And it was nice. TBD if that's how it'll feel about book 2. I'll let you guys know. About the whole book, yes, I start with the characters though. Characters determine plot, yes.
Yeah, that's how I do it. Some people like have a world and then they think of a story that might fit in it and then they do characters, and other people have like a story and then they're like, now what characters would tell this? And I do not understand how those work.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
I always start with the characters. Actually start with the couple, with the romance, and then I have to build the suspense in around it. That's what I realized when I was plotting book 3 or brainstorming book 3 and the characters. The romance part is always crystal clear to me, and then I have to layer in the suspense on top of it. So I spend a lot of time getting into my main characters, like my couple's head, and then I spend a lot of time getting into the killer's head. Okay. A lot of time getting into their head and figuring out what they're thinking and why they're doing the thing that they're doing, because I think that drives a lot, like why they have justified what it is that they're doing in their head.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that motivates them, right? So it kind of drives their actions.
Yeah.
So, I just spend a ton of time on characters. Way more time than them, actually. I mean, I just don't plot up front. I guess I do still plot front end. Do you change your plot a lot, Kate? When you plot from like the whole thing from start to finish before you even write anything, does it change a lot, or do you tend to stick to it pretty strictly, but pretty well? I've always been fascinated by true plotters. I would just change my mind now and here, because I used to try to plot from the beginning to the end, and then I'd get like, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the book and obliterate the whole rest of the plot and have to do it, start all over. So it always seemed like a lot of wasted work to me. So I'm wondering if true plotters people stick to it or not.
If that's the way you do it though, because you plot from beat to beat, so that's basically what you do, isn't it? You plot the first bit and write there and do the next bit from that. So.
Yep, because I also tried true pantsing and that didn't work for me either. So I was like, well, let me just try plotting a little bit at a time, and then writing, and then plotting a little bit more, and that's so far that is my sweet spot, and allows the story to flow a lot more naturally without having to do unnecessary work when it comes to plotting and stuff. Sometimes I start with
how many books?
An idea. What would happen if someone did such and such, and I have to find characters who would do such things? Oh. Makes sense too.
How many books have you written altogether, Meaghan, now?
Like total first draft manuscripts, or ones that I intend on publishing?
Total first draft manuscripts.
Eight, I think. Yeah, 8 sounds like the right number. 8 or 9, something like that. I guess, yep. Book 3 that I'm currently working on for this series that will actually see the light of day is probably book 9 or 10. What about you?
It's nice to have a broad estimate of how many books I could expect to write before I potentially feel more comfortable with my process and what's going on, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't want to say that I didn't take any of those seriously, but also at the same time, I didn't take them very seriously. I wrote the very first book that I finished. I was in college, and it took me all 4 years in college to finish that one. And I wrote it based off of a dream that I had, because of course I did. And then I wrote out like a whole series for that. I just always hated it. I always hated the finished products. There's always something missing just writing straight contemporary romance for me. And so I never did anything with them. this first book in this current series is the only book I've ever even bothered to try to edit. It's also the fastest book I've ever written. I think the fastest one I ever wrote before this took me almost 2 years. Very long time to write that book. And then I hated it. So there's this thing missing. It's a little boring. So. And then I think it was Kristen who was like, oh, you should just try a different subgenre completely. I was like, okay. So I pulled plucked a romantic suspense idea out of my ideas folder, and I wrote that, and here we are. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, Kristen's awesome.
She is. Hopefully, maybe 5 books in, I thought I'd figure out the process, and that worked for a few books, but then my process evolved again. Yeah, I think it's probably something that just changes constantly. Unless, I would imagine even super prolific authors. Thanks, bud. Imagine even super, super prolific authors who've had a lot of experience will always find something else that works for them. Because I would imagine just even as your life changes, right? Your kids grow up, or you get married, or you get divorced, or whatever, your process is going to change.
Yeah.
So, have you finished manuscripts before this?
No.
That's right, you usually get to the ending and then you stop.
I've got a lot further. Like, normally I get like 3 chapters in or something and then I stop. So I'm on like chapter 20.
That's right, because you abandoned a different work in progress to write this current one. Because you were like, yes, I'm going to write a novella. Now, how many words is that? How many words is your novella?
It is 67,000 words.
Whoops, not quite a novella.
It's a great novella. It's a novella that's been really fluffed out.
Yes, very fluffed out. That's true.
Have you just about the contemporary romance novella that's been fluffed out to a paranormal romance novel.
Who was always going to be paranormal? Wasn't she always a witch?
Yeah, but that just wasn't really a big part of the story.
Oh, it wasn't? It was just kind of a thing that she was.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Then it became a bigger thing because it was like, well, this isn't really paranormal, it's just straight contemporary romance. So.
With a witch.
Yeah.
We want to see things happen when we're reading paranormal.
Exactly. People like this magic and catastrophe and crap.
We need to see someone turn into a werewolf or something.
Maybe in book 2.
Really?
I'm trying. I am.
We're gonna make her. It is now my life's mission to make you finish at least one book all the way to the end so I can read it. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
We are. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna finish it before the end of the year.
I do not know. The end of my year so far is not going well. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that you get there.
Yeah.
You're brave. Emotional support.
Thank you. Well, as we're now at 2 hours.
Yes. We were very chatty today. Very chatty. I haven't really seen people much this week, so I appreciate the invitation.
I really appreciate you coming on and not leaving me here by myself to talk to myself for large amounts of time. Thank you.
You will be in Vegas next week too, I think, right? Next Saturday?
Yes. And also Tuesday, but you said you couldn't do Tuesday, didn't you?
No, I'm catching up from last week. I'm glad that I told you I couldn't do it because I definitely can't do it. I have a lot of catch up. A lot of things got shoved to the side for my work emergency last week. So.
Yeah. If anyone else would like to come on screen and join me on Tuesday to sprint, let me know now. Please. Pretty please. Otherwise, it will just be me.
She'll make Ali be here all by herself. She'll hate that.
So, like, now? Speak now, please? Anyone?
Or you can find her in the Facebook group and let her know.
Yes, if you're in the Facebook group, please let me know. Or send me a message. Any way you'd like to tell me that you'd like to not leave me by myself? Pretty please.
Oh, Morningstar got a new job. Congratulations. Enjoy. My sister just started a new job. She was very excited about that. Good luck. Starting a new job's always really good. Figure out where everything is.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, then.
I guess that's it. I hope you find somebody for Tuesdays. You're not here by yourself.
Thank you, me too.
Well, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Enjoy. Our clocks change in North America tomorrow. So,
yes. Good luck with your clock change. I hope no one gets up an hour too early, because that always sucks.
We're falling back, so we gain an hour, don't we?
Yeah, but that means if you forget it, you get up an hour earlier than you meant to. Or do you get up an hour later?
Get up an hour later.
Oh, that's always okay. I'm fine with it.
I know,
unless
right?
you're missing good stuff.
Yeah. You wake up and your body thinks it's 9 o'clock, but the clock says that it's 8 o'clock. Right? Isn't that how it works?
Oh, but if you don't have to get up at 9 o'clock, if you don't have to get up till 9 o'clock and then you're awake at 8 o'clock, you're like, I could have had an extra hour in bed.
But if your body thinks that it's 9 o'clock, if you wake up at 9 o'clock,
extra sleep.
But if your alarm wakes you up at 9 o'clock, your body thinks it's 10.
But if your clock doesn't change automatically and it's still set.
Are there people out there with clocks that don't change automatically?
I don't know if there still are, but I vividly remember the occasion in university where I did not know the clocks were changing and I stood at that bus stop in the cold November weather for an hour waiting for a bus that was not coming. Instead of being in my nice warm bed for an hour, so...
The only thing that doesn't change automatically for me is the stove and the thermostat.
Yes, my heating doesn't, so there.
I found that out the hard way last year because the apartment I lived in before had an automatic thing where it changed. It was like hooked up. I could control it from my phone. It's a smart thermostat. This one is not, and I found that out the hard way because the heat turned on in the morning. It was too hot, like really hot when I sleep, so my heat goes down to like a super low temperature at night. And so it turned on it was like too early or too late or something. So like, oh yeah, I guess I should change that. But anyways, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Oh, that's lots of fun going away. Okay, bye-bye.